Yeah, he seems fine, but even if he was getting bullied, he could have gone to the doctor's office before coming here, Vorden replied. Well, I still think we should keep an eye on him. There's no way higher levels would just become friends with a lower level for no reason, Quinn said. Vorden cleared his throat loudly and started to look at himself. Of course, there are some exceptions, Quinn said, smiling. With the other two now fast asleep, Quinn was still awake messing around with his system. He was busy watching the tutorial videos of the hammer strike. The next day, Quinn had woken up earlier than the other two. He immediately wanted to go to the game to create his character and test out the skill he had been learning all night. Just in case the others wondered where Quinn was, he left a note before leaving. When he finally arrived, the VR room was emptier than it was yesterday. He went up to the pretty lady who stood behind the counter and asked to rent a capsule, only this time for 2 hours. Before entering his capsule, Quinn looked around the room and noticed some students carrying their beast weapons with them. Not all students used one like Vorden, but after watching the games Vorden had played yesterday, he did see a few of his opponents have one, which meant that the game was also able to recognize the power of beast weapons. Scan complete. The beast weapon may now be used with the capsule. He then hopped in and logged into the game. Please create a user ID. Quinn thought long and hard. He didn't want anything that could give his real identity away, but at the same time he wanted a name that would express his newfound self. Something like Vampire God just wouldn't work and gave too much information. Finally, he had settled on a name. User ID created, Blood Evolver. The next step was to design his character. The body proportions of his character were the same as him, but he was able to choose what hairstyle and simple clothing he wanted on it. Quinn had always been born with black curly hair and wanted to change it but never got the chance to. After going through all the options, he finally decided on a red, spiky-haired character who wore simpler villager clothing. It looked like a farmer from an old fantasy world. Once the character had been completed, Quinn was once again teleported to the large, white, empty room. That's when Quinn noticed something. While in the room, Quinn was able to walk around freely and move his body just like he could outside. He was currently dressed as the character and even had his gauntlets on. Then, when Quinn tried to open up his system, to his surprise, it appeared like usual, showing all of his current stats. Quinn looked down at his gauntlets and immediately wanted to test something out. Blood swipe. And in that instant, a red claw-like line left Quinn's hands and scratched the ground. For whatever reason, it seemed like Quinn's system and abilities still worked inside the game. Just in case, Quinn opened up the game system and checked. And right next to his name, where there was a section to fill in your ability, there were the words written none in the box. But the fact that Quinn was able to use these abilities in the game made him think, was his system really an ability? At first he assumed so. After all, he had received the power from what had looked like an ability book. Of course, he had never heard of an ability like this before, but there were many abilities in the world that originals had hidden and kept for themselves. Then he thought back to his status change. Next to race, it stated he was no longer human. Perhaps his abilities were more a side effect of changing race, rather than an ability itself. That's why the skills that he unlocked through the system didn't really follow a pattern. If Quinn's theory was right, did this mean he could also learn an ability? Before going into his first game, Quinn wanted to test out the hammer strike. He had been watching the video all last night and felt like he was ready. Place your foot forward like this and at the same time rotate your body. The energy should flow through your toes upwards. Then, as you pull back your hand, stomp on the ground and at the same time release the energy through your fist. Quinn mumbled as he went through the steps. He could feel the energy rising from the bottom of his feet into his fist. The powerful strike left his hand, and a loud bang was heard. A small shockwave in the air was created. "I did it," Quinn said. For his first match, Quinn wanted to go against the same power level user as him. She just wanted to make sure of a few things. The game had found him an opponent, and he was immediately teleported to an arena.
Hi, Quinn here. Thirsty for more action? Jump the queue and unleash all episodes. Click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app. Sink your teeth into the next episode of our fantastic journey, only on the Pocket FM universe.